This can lead to having a slower metabolism.
Birth control can affect this change in body composition.
This is caused by relatively higher testosterone levels compared to estrogen levels.
It's one of the main reasons that women struggle to lose weight and keep it off around menopause.
The drop in estrogen is the most significant one when it comes to losing weight. And
hello, and welcome to the Trinity Fit Over 40 podcast with me, Rob Burkhead.
And me, Ben Hughes. We are the co-founders of Trinity Transformation and creators of the Fit Over 40 method. And together with our world-class coaching team, we have helped more than 7,000 women over 40 to fit back into their favorite clothes over the past decade. For more information about what we do, go to www.fit40info.com.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk about hormones specifically, as this is kind of the foundation of everything. And it's one of the main reasons that women struggle to lose weight and keep it off around menopause. And even if you've got everything else right, if you're not keeping your hormones in the right place and you're not working with your changing hormones, you will still see zero movement on the scales. You may even continue to see your weight going up despite trying really hard. So Ben, what's the kind of first element I suppose people need to understand when it comes to hormones around menopause and when it relates to weight loss?
So the first thing we need to talk about is estrogen. So hormones change in the run-up to menopause. Menopause is officially defined as when a woman goes 12 consecutive months without a period. So it's a year essentially since you've had your kind of final period. And the average age for this is 51. But this is an average, and hormonal changes start to happen up to 10 years prior to this. So often this can start to affect women in their early 40s. So there's two kind of main female hormones, which are estrogen and progesterone. Those both start to drop off from age 35 to 40, and both cause changes. But the drop in estrogen is the most significant one when it comes to losing weight and avoiding kind of gaining body fat. So estrogen deficiency during perimenopause and menopause can lead to up to 50 symptoms or more, many of which will make it more difficult for you to stay fit and healthy. One of these is you can end up with what's, the middle-age spread, which is kind of a common term that people have used for this extra weight that comes on around the middle at a certain age. And this is caused by relatively higher testosterone levels compared to estrogen levels. The other issues you can affect are things like aching joints due to low estrogen. So estrogen, it works as a natural lubricant, so it keeps your joints nice and lubricated. And this can then make it difficult to exercise consistently because people start to suffer with things like knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and many other issues. Another change that can happen is low mood and low motivation from low estrogen. And that can obviously make it difficult to stay motivated to exercise and difficult to make it to stay motivated to eat well. So often GPs as well will mistakenly prescribe antidepressants as kind of a solution to this, when in reality it's the lack of estrogen that's the problem. And looking at HRT or hormone replacement therapy to add that estrogen back in would solve that problem better rather than just kind of dealing with the symptoms with kind of antidepressants. Other issues are things like brain fog. So that can make it hard to work effectively, meaning that because you're not as efficient at work, you end up working longer hours to compensate, meaning you have less time left for exercise and for healthy eating. So all in all, what this means is the hormonal changes around menopause, and specifically that reduction in estrogen, can combine together to make losing weight and maintaining a healthy weight more of an uphill battle. And often people don't really even know they're experiencing symptoms due to perimenopause, which can start up to 10 years before that clinical menopause. But the good news is we've seen many clients feel like themselves again after doing at least one of the following. So there are many different steps you can take to kind of counteract this and to get back to feeling your best and sort of losing weight and seeing all the results you're after. So one of them is focusing on HRT or hormone replacement therapy and getting that right. So making sure that you're on the right form of HRT for you and the one that kind of works for you. So, we've worked with thousands and thousands of women, and they've all found that it's a different solution is right for them if HRT is what they decide to go with. Or if HRT is, it might be an ideal approach for some people, but other people might not want to take HRT, or they might not feel it's right for them. And we have a menopause expert inside of our program who basically helps our clients get the right help they need, whether that is with or without HRT. But regardless of whether a woman chooses to do HRT or not, the key thing when it comes to managing that reduction in estrogen is just optimizing your overall approach to work regardless of those reduced estrogen levels. And if you get that right, there's no reason that those hormonal changes need to hold you back from getting the results that you want. So that reduction in estrogen and those changes in hormones generally are the first kind of issue that women can face. But there's quite a few other ones that we're going to go through. So what else can cause problems for people, Rob?
So one other thing to consider is birth control. So a lot of the women we work with are taking some form of birth control, whether that's in the form of a pill, whether it's the IUD, so kind of like the coil. And that can also affect your hormones, because a lot of these things, there is a coil without hormones, but most of these do also then change the balance of your hormones. And a lot of women are taking different types, just like with HRT. And it's important that you are taking a type that's still going to work best for you. And as you said with HRT, Ben, there's different types that work better for some people than others. Some people, they don't feel good on it and they're better without. It's the same with birth control. And it can have a much bigger impact of how you feel both in and out of your clothes than you might realize, in terms of how you feel, in terms of your mood. And there's a lot of different data to say that both HRT and birth control don't actually cause weight gain, even though some people have experienced a lot of weight gain on them. And I think it's important to note the kind of nuance of this data. So whilst the scientific conclusion is based on thousands, well, probably millions of people, that birth control doesn't cause weight gain, same with HRT, it's a simplification. So it doesn't default cause weight gain, but there's a couple of things it doesn't take into account. Firstly, it doesn't take into account that that's an average. So the average person won't, but there's some people who will gain weight. There's some people who will lose weight on different types of HRT or birth control. It also doesn't take into account changes in body composition, which is really, really important. So this is the amount of muscle and fat on your body. So you could weigh the exact same amount. You could be 12 stone, but you could have a stone of muscle or a stone less of muscle. If you had a stone less muscle, you'll have a stone more fat, and that will be significantly less healthy. You'll be much weaker, much less balanced. You'll struggle to climb the stairs. Your body shape will be completely different. You'll probably have a lot more fat around the middle, even though you weigh exactly the same. Whereas the person with a stone more muscle, they'll probably be a dress size or two smaller. They'll be way stronger. They'll be way faster. They'll be way fitter. They can climb the stairs or go up a hill on a walk with no struggle at all. And birth control can affect this change in body composition. So can many other things. So can HRT. But it's important to try and have as much muscle as you can as you get older, because it's one of the biggest kind of mortality risks. And it's also the thing that will make you look and feel so much better. So we want to bear that in mind. And it does look like some forms of birth control lead to more muscle loss than others. If you're fed up with trying everything and seeing no results,
watching your weight creeping up and struggling to fit into your clothes,
and you're looking for the fastest and easiest way to get your ideal weight
and never have to worry about your weight or health again,
you can save yourself years of trial and error by letting us take care of the hard work for you in our Fit Over 40 private coaching program.
Over the past decade, our world-class team have personally guided more than 7,000 women to take back control of their health and confidence, and more importantly, maintain those results for life.
If you're ready to finally get results that last and find out how we can help you do that too, click the link in the description below to get the full details now. Now, the simplest way to kind of, because this is quite a big, complicated topic, we're not doctors, but the simplest way to look at this is to try and look at the type of progesterone that's in the birth control you're taking, if you are taking birth control. Because there's two that are really not good for this, for losing muscle and potentially gaining fat as well. And they're called the first and second generation progestins. I'm not going to name them, but a progestin is a synthetic progesterone. But you can look up which generation progestin your birth control contains by searching for the ingredient. So look on the packet, look at what I think the kind of scientific name for the ingredient is. One example is norgesterol, and see if that's a first or second generation, because those are the ones that are most problematic. Third and fourth generation, which are more modern and newer, don't have the same negative side effects, but they are maybe prescribed less often because they're newer and more expensive typically. So a lot of the time you'll get given the worst stuff first and then only get given the better stuff if you push for it from your doctor. Now, the type of birth control that seems to have the least negative effects is the IUD, so the intrauterine device or coil, or the Mirena coil, which either has no hormones at all, or if it's the Mirena coil, it has progesterone in it. But it's what's called topical progesterone, meaning it only acts in the local area where it's fitted, so it doesn't affect your whole body, which is generally preferred as well. But again, we're both men. I get that you may have different desires about what you want for your body. You might not want to take any of this stuff. You don't have to. I think the most important thing is to consider it, make a decision based on what you feel is best for you, and then really optimize everything else first for your hormones, which, Ben, I think you're going to get into now.
Yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about then is cortisol. So as we said, estrogen levels start to drop from perimenopause, often in the kind of late 30s or early 40s. And we've talked about kind of the changes, a lot of the symptoms and effects that this can lead to in terms of menopause. But one of the other effects, and one of the most significant ones when it comes to weight loss, is the effect that this has on the way the body reacts to stress. So when you're subjected to a source of stress, cortisol, the stress hormone, is released. This is called the stress response. So something stressful happens and your body will release cortisol. It's not always bad. So in short bursts, it's actually good. For example, it will help you wake up in the morning. It will help your body to start recovering after a workout. However, if those cortisol levels remain too high for too long, what's called chronically elevated cortisol, this can trigger the weight gain triangle, which is 3 kind of knock-on hormonal effects, which are leptin resistance. So leptin is a hunger hormone, which can lead to increased cravings, especially for comfort foods. The second one is insulin resistance, and that can lead to increased fat storage, especially around the middle area. And the third one is thyroid deregulation, and your thyroid controls your metabolism. So this can lead to having a slower metabolism. So essentially, for women around menopause who have a higher sensitivity to stress and will therefore have a bigger release of the stress hormone cortisol, this weight gain triangle will make it harder to lose weight, and it will make it easier to gain weight, and especially to gain weight, especially around the middle area. And this is not exactly what you want if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to tone up and feel better in your clothes. So estrogen basically helps to regulate your cortisol levels. So as estrogen drops from perimenopause onwards, you are more likely to have this chronically high cortisol level. The sources of stress that can happen will include things like work, things like family life, that kind of direct stress you can experience from, like, you've got a big project with a very aggressive deadline you've got to meet, or, you have something really bad happen in the family and that causes you loads of additional stress as well. So there's those things that happen, which you arguably can't do that much about. I mean, there's always chances where you can kind of change minor things with your career or how you manage your relationships, but those things are harder to deal with. But other sources of stress that can affect people as well are things like extreme dieting or extreme exercise approaches. So, loads of kind of intense cardio workouts, or cutting back on calories, or cutting out hard, full whole food groups can be quite stressful on the body as well. Things like a lack of sleep as well, or taking in excess caffeine, drinking excess alcohol. All of these things can also stress the body. And they all stack on top of each other. And it's like filling a bath with more and more water, the more stress you put in. And when that bath starts to overflow, that's the point where you've got this chronically high cortisol level, and that's going to cause you to start rapidly gaining weight in places you don't want to gain it. So for women over 40, the key thing is avoiding these kind of extreme dieting approaches. So we're talking about avoiding things like HIIT training or high intensity interval training, spinning, most gym classes, fasting, keto, shake diet, very low calories. We want to avoid all these things because they can trigger that weight gain triangle and make it really, really hard for you to see progress. So what we recommend instead is following an eating and exercise approach, which keeps cortisol levels low, but still means you're going to be able to see fast results. So you need something that is very effective for fat loss, but also something which doesn't add excess stress to your life. And we do this inside Fit Over 40 with a type of exercise we call list training. and the type of nutrition we call hormonally balanced eating. Both of these are designed to be very effective for losing body fat without overstretching the body, and we will cover all of this in more detail in the subsequent episodes of this series. And the key thing that you need to know is if you do something that works with your changing hormones rather than against them, so that might be a combination of all the things we've talked about today. So it might be a combination of looking at things like HRT, looking at things like birth control, but also, and probably most importantly, looking at your approach that you're taking to losing body fat, making sure that that approach is low stress, doesn't cause that elevated cortisol, and will allow your body to lose body fat quickly and efficiently. And if you do that, just like one of our clients, Rav, did, you can see some incredible results.
Yeah, so Rav is a busy working mum. She's got 2 teenage children, so life is pretty stressful. And she joined Trinity weighing over 90 kilos, which was the heaviest she'd been in her adult life. And she tried all the diets out there, but nothing was really working to shift the weight. And what's more, Rav was going through a really challenging perimenopause when she joined us. So she had loads of different symptoms. It made a big impact on her motivation and energy. Her doctor was trying to prescribe her antidepressants. But she didn't really want to go down that path, and she didn't want to keep gaining weight because she wasn't fitting into any of her clothes, and she was feeling really, really miserable about that. She wasn't feeling like herself anymore. But the good news is, with the right approach, so we worked with her changing body and hormones, and we also helped her to get the right HRT, so encouraged her to see a menopause expert. As I said, we have a fantastic one inside our program that all our clients get access to free. We had a Q&A with her last night, and lots of them have free appointments with her over the next week. The combination of getting this HRT right, along with the exercise and nutrition approach and general lifestyle approach, we worked a lot on things like sleep and managing stress. Rav was able to lose a phenomenal amount of weight and get back into favorite clothes. And here's a short quote from her. So she said, "I lost 3 stone. I feel far more confident in how I look, and I'm happy to go out in t-shirt and trousers. And I don't feel the need to cover myself up with a cardigan or jacket anymore. It's been a real life changer for me." So that's a really short quote from Rav. We've got the full interview on our website if you go to the results section with Rav, so you can listen to that. We did a full podcast with her. And we've got hundreds more clients who've also going through perimenopause or menopausal right now who've seen similar phenomenal results, if I can say that word. So Ben, where can people go to find out more about results like Rav and other women are achieving during menopause?
So if you want to find out more, you want to find the details about our Fit Over 40 program and our private coaching, head over to www.fit40info.com and you can get all of the details on that page.
That just about wraps up for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you next time for another episode in this series. We will see you then.
Imagine living in a home that you've cherished for years.
You've done your best to keep it in good condition,
But no matter how much you clean, paint, or repair,
the problems keep piling up.
the cracks are showing, the roof is leaking, and it feels like everything is getting worse despite your best efforts.
For many women, losing weight around menopause feels just like that,
You've tried diets, workouts, and advice,
where the results don't come and the frustration keeps growing.
That's where our Fit Over 40 private coaching program comes in.
Think of us as your expert renovation team.
We know exactly how to fix the root issues, rebuild your confidence, and create lasting results, just like restoring a home to its best condition.
If you're ready to finally see results that last, click the link in the description below now. Let us help you restore the body and the life you deserve.